And we are live. Welcome to the SEO and AI news for week 45. So that was last week. It's a bit late. Normally they come out Monday, Tuesday, but I've been sick. I'm still kind of a bit off, but I couldn't help myself. I had to still look at the recent news in my bed, and I'm now fresh enough to actually record this. So let's just jump right in. There's a bunch of cool analysis and guides here. The first one here is ChatGPT. Somebody did an analysis around some sort of entity update. So the first thing that stood out here is that people are talking about ChatGPT updates, like their Google algorithms. I guess they might be less official. What's to take away from this is the average brand mentions fell from 6 to 3.5. Brand visibility dropped 31%, and the visibility gap between 1 and 10 compressed by 23%. So, well, basically, I think ChatGPT, there is the basic LLM model, as far as I understand. And then there's a bunch of layers on top, like formatting, et cetera, et cetera. And they can pretty much control, I think, how many brands are being mentioned because they have control over what's an entity or slowly getting there. So they can really, make your AI citations or visibility drop depending on how they adjust those. The reason why is a little bit harder, but I believe here there's, again, brand markups, organization being featured on Wikipedia pages, etc., or what's the insights here in order to be mentioned as a brand. So those are important things to take away from this if you want to keep being mentioned. Another analysis here from, again, Ahrefs, well, not Ahrefs again, but ChatGPT did a study on the most cited pages in ChatGPT here, and they turns out a lot of them don't have any Google organic visibility, which is very interesting. I think there's been plenty of studies this year around the correlation between Google visibility and AI mentions. I think there is still a pretty strong correlation, but we can now see that there is a percentage that do not have any organic visibility here. So let's see here. 28% of cited pages had no organic visibility in Google, which I think is a good, it gives the small players a chance more than in Google, I think, where brand is really important and brand popularity. What I really also want to take away from this is 63% had a published date between 24 and 2025. So only 16 is pre-2020. So I think freshness is a big thing here. And then 90% had an update date in 2025. So again, looks like freshness is important, but organic visibility might not be. So maybe creating fresh content doesn't rank. You might still want to track that in LLM. So interesting. Again, what's mentioned here is AI citation does not always equal Google visibility. Good thing to take away, I think, especially if you're a smaller brand. Maybe put a little bit more focus on AI compared to traditionally bigger brands, I would say, because your bigger brands might not get the big uplift in AI they think, but smaller brands can really get a bigger uplift and then focus less on classic SERPs in the beginning. Again, be careful here. Next up, we have a search pilot test, a really interesting one. What happens when AI content is added with a disclaimer? Again, it showed that it didn't harm AI content in terms of ranking. So putting a disclaimer did not harm it. So Google doesn't differentiate. They probably don't have a specific variable or attribute saying this content is AI generated or not, or they do, but they probably ignore the label. They probably have their own internal system for figuring out how much of this is AI or not, hopefully, or to some extent. So again, I think the key takeaways here, you can definitely put a disclaimer. I think it depends on the situation and you should do your own tests. I feel if I have used AI to make this content better, readable, etc., maybe did a bit of the research, but then I've manually checked it, that's what I would write. That is my disclaimer. AI helped me use this content. I think the transparency is fair, but then also look at UX metrics. Do people bounce when they read this? Is there any interactivity after that, et cetera, et cetera? Like what happens with users and not only rankings is important. And then here's a guide on how Semrush discovered, they use their own tools, of course, it's pretty good content marketing, but how they got cited a lot more in AIs. And I like the insights here. There's measure influence, not just clicks. I think we've said that enough in this series of videos. Prioritize bottom funnel prompts. So looking at like where I'm close to a decision, and then find those prompts, create the content, inject it. Expect volatility, it seems here as well. I think it's not as stable as Google search would be. And again, expand beyond your domain. Mentions on Reddit, Quora, social platforms. It makes sense. I think this is something we keep saying. I just think they're rewriting this to also show how they use their own tools to do it. I think Semrush is a great tool, so have a look at this. If you are using Semrush, this might help you have a more specific strategy on how to get more cited in AI. And then a pretty good guide on how to understand AI mode rankings. Again, query fan out is not as hyped as it should be, I think. But the way AI mode works is it'll do a bunch of these related queries and summarize that content. So it is no longer, you can say, well, this is the main query I want to rank for, but let's also do all the others. This is something we've been doing for years, is creating good topical clusters, answering related questions, not just hyper-focusing on 10 prioritized keywords. So I'm not surprised by this, but we have been testing this with a few clients, and we've been mentioned in follow-up answers as well, and in different sections of AI answers. Again, we're not getting the, let's say, we're not getting that much visibility. I mean, we do get the sources over here. Google needs to do a lot more to give credit to all the content. It's pretty much plagiarizing. But yeah, another thing to take away here is information gain. Google can surface other pages that provide related information. Content that fills gaps across the information space gains visibility. Love that. Something we've been testing again, and we should continue to test. And then multimedia matters. I took this away again. Useful images and videos. And I think this relates to your content is not just AI slop, but you actually have maybe homemade graphics, things like that, that makes this, just a little bit more easy to read and more useful. I would definitely think they are if you have custom images versus no images at all. So yeah, very good guide here from Search Engine Journal. A little fun news here on a very sarcastic, more proof that SEO is dead, yet the SEO service market is booming. So they're pretty much saying it would go from 81 billion in 2024 to about 171 billion by 2030. So definitely marketing expansion, and claims that SEO is dead, well, does not really reflect in the numbers so far, or at least what we're seeing. Google is also testing a new version of AI mode. Now, again, this is just people spotting this. Some users have been giving options, and I think it's just great to then highlight, well, Google is testing different versions, and we might see a lot of changes coming up. And also the AI hype will start to flatten, and it's very expensive to run AI mode. So I don't know how the landscape will look for Google here, but definitely interesting to see that they're testing different versions. So if you have any examples, please comment. Then we've got Profound, one of the AI trackers in the space. Profound, Peak AI, of course, Semrush and all the others are playing the same game here a little, but they've launched a Profound index so you can track brand visibility in AI search for the big players and their changes. So pretty interesting. Very, very good content marketing strategy. Create a tool, people can use it, gives you mentions, et cetera, et cetera. So I mean, this is what I would have told them to do. We have another analysis here shortly on, well, it's more like a news statement actually, on that short videos are now making more money than long form videos on YouTube. So people are going on YouTube and spending more time, it seems, on the TikTok kind of, next video. And I think they also increased the length so they can be semi-long. I myself find myself being on there a lot. And the takeaway here is if you're using YouTube as a strategy for reach, consider doing long and short form. And a lot of times what I tell clients is do the long form, but then edit them into short versions too that you can send out. I think that's important. If it's pure reach, you can also tell people, other people can create shorts from your videos. You can let them do it. There's a checkbox sign when you upload. Maybe I should do it for these videos as well. Google AI mode begins rolling out agentic booking. Now this is big. I put it as important must read. I have several clients that where you can book online if you're working with hotel sites, etc. Make sure that agentic flow can be, that they can book. Because once this becomes a feature, you don't want to be excluded from this. So you can test it with ChatGPT operator. And sometimes you might have like human tests, Cloudflare blocking you. And you want to make sure that that flow is unharmed. But that you keep tracking it, look at your server logs, etc., so people don't abuse it, of course. But I think it's now to get into that space and figure out if AI agents can book through your site, complete the purchase, etc., based on a few prompts. For ChatGPT operator, if you give it your name and everything it needs to the booking, can it perform it to the end? Give your confirmation email, whatever it needs to do. Important for certain clients. And then a pretty high-level article on the inevitable evolution. Let's see if I can get the text out here of of LLMs and search. And there's a lot of summaries here. I think what's interesting, I'll take this way and share, is that the LLM race has been shaped by investor optics. So OpenAI is not profitable. There's a big article that came out showcasing how little profitable it is and how, well, screwed they are. So very much so. And again, Google is also just racing to win. They've got stock prices, investors that want to see this stock go up. So just want to launch products. I don't think, I mean, Google might be getting they might be like breaking records in terms of ads. But I think if you look at the revenue, if you look at the profitability, getting AI mode on so many searches just cost more energy compared to just classic search results. So I think it was like 100 times more. So how are they profiting from that? And they're not even running ads in it yet. I think they're just showcasing AI. They want to win the race. It's more of a stock market price than anything. So I really like that takeaway. And I think what we will see in the next coming years is the hype will flatten and the whole space will have to adapt and may become profitable. And I think we'll see a downside in AI modes, AI overviews. There's a bunch of things there, I think. But again, could be wrong. Quote me on it, and like and subscribe, and I guess I'll tell myself if I'm wrong in a year or two. But that was really the news for this week. Sorry for the late posting. Again, this is all the gold and all the good guys that you need in order to become a good SEO or continue to stay a good SEO consultant. So like, subscribe, comment if you need or want something, and otherwise I will see you all next week. Ciao.